I have a hack here. I know that I showed you before how to use the iPad, but I have improved upon it greatly. All right, so the first thing that you do is you put something under the iPad so that it doesn't move around. And then get some tape to tape your paper down. Now, this piece of plexiglass that I have here is what has been a huge game changer for me. I bought this shadow box at a craft store, and the thing that you put memorabilia in, and the piece of plexiglass that slides up and down in front of the shadow box has this piece of wood at the bottom that keeps the paper from sliding around. So rather than just a regular piece of plexiglass, if you can go get a shadow box, this piece of wood, I just love it, really balances your paper and keeps it in place for you, keeps it from sliding off. You don't have to tape all four sides, keeps it straight. So I just love it. So you tape your paper down, and also before you start, you make sure your brightness is all the way up. Now you see where I moved that around with my hand. Prior to doing this, I put the paper directly on the iPad and tried to draw on it, and every time I moved my hand it would move like that. So this plexiglass, you can touch it all over the place, rub it back and forth, and your iPad picture does not move. Makes a huge difference in the ease of tracing this. So once you've got your plexiglass in place and your paper taped down, and then I secured it on both sides. I had some tape on the right side and put just my little brush holder on the left side to give me a mental reminder not to move the plexiglass, because when I get into what I'm doing, I generally am so into it that I'll move that, and then it's a real pain getting your plexiglass back over where it should be on your iPad. So I trace around. You can trace around the perimeter of flowers, block in your big shapes. Again, you can sketch to the level of your comfort. I try to do the less pencil the better, because then it is less to erase. And I'm also using hot press paper here. I'm mixing it up a bit with the cold press. Sometimes, I love the wildness of the cold press paper, but hot press can be really good for detailed florals. So I am using, I think it is Dick Blick brand hot press paper, and I'm just gonna trace the whole thing. And I will be posting part 2 of this video, which is about an hour long, where I paint this. I've not finished editing it yet, so when I finish editing it tomorrow, I will add the link to this video, or it will pop up as Paper White Tutorial Part 2. I'm really excited to share it with you because it's got some helpful tips on painting white flowers, which to me is very tricky. I don't know if it is to you, but those are the most difficult flowers to paint. And I was really happy with the way this painting turned out after I traced it. So I hope that this new tip with the plexiglass is helpful in your studio. If you give it a try, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your comments. Also, I've started a private members only Facebook page. It's Creating with Christine Marks. So if you have anything to share, if you've done any of my tutorials, we have a really nice small group of people over there right now. I just started it a week ago, and it's growing every day. But it's really fun to see your studios and see what you're painting and see what you've done with these different tutorials. It's just an awful lot of fun. So I'm just gonna finish tracing this. It's I think this is life-changing if you are trying to trace on an iPad. It really made it so much easier. So I'd love to see you give it a try. Trace the pears, which look really little. The paper whites are huge compared to those pears, but I like the way it turned out at the end. Get back in with some of the darker parts in the back. I just want to have little guideposts for myself when I go back to paint this. And what's nice is when you take it off of the plexiglass and you go to paint it, you've got your visual reference. And I do find, I took a picture of this from the White Flower Farm catalog. It was on the cover that came to my house. And I do find that pictures in the iPad, you can brighten them. For me, it shows a lot more substance with the picture, brings out the shadows and the light a little bit better. For me, it is the best thing if I'm not out sketching in real life or setting up an actual still life. The iPad really lights it up nicely for you to use as a reference. So um, I think compared to a picture, I don't know, it just seems to bring it to life a little bit more because I had the actual front of the catalog in my hand and the iPad just brings it to life more. So another tip is to take a picture of whatever you're sketching and sketch it then from your iPad propped up next to you. So that's it. I hope that you try this and I hope you have a wonderful creative day. And I hope that you join me for Paper Whites Part 2. Have a great one.